Let us start now. Let us start the show. Arun Sinha ji, former Additional Secretary, Government of India. Vallabh Bhattacharya, former ADG Assam. Vimal Vaklu ji, former CMD TCIL, Miniratna PSU. Love Jihad. Arun ji, if you are having a coughing issue, आप 2 मिनट कैमरा ऑफ करके आप रिलैक्स करिए, then you please join back.
Okay.
Okay, let us start with the opening remarks. Love Jihad. Vimal Vaklu is somebody who's seen, kind of secular violence from the closest quarters possible. Being a Kashmiri, Vimal Vaklu ji has had experience of the 90s, early 90s, the January of 90. Probably, I do not know how much I can, with conviction, link the issue at hand today with the, kind of entire exodus issue, or the ethnic violence or the ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Pandit issues. But somehow or the other, Love Jihad, the word itself, I will not, mince my words. Muslims want to convert everybody to Muslims, to Islam. That's been the history, that's been the genesis of the entire religion. Expansion through elimination or inclusion. Expansion through elimination or inclusion has been the basic philosophy based on which a religion like Islam has, grown its tentacles across the world. Today it's 200 crore people, second largest religion in the world. India is no, kind of a party, is not a party which is left out. We are not a stranger by any means to this particular phenomena. Kerala Story, a movie which has been released yesterday, is making huge furores, is making huge inroads into the intellectual galleries, owing to the ethos of the film revolving around conversion of Hindu and Christian girls to Islam, and then being exported as suicide bombers, potential suicide bombing opportunities, or candidates for the ISIS in the Middle East and other terror groups like them. Kerala is becoming a hotbed as what the movie projects. And in fact, this has been a menace which has been growing into the Indian society quite rapidly, wherein conversion is happening, especially in the case of Muslims. They are converting, and then the allegations are, as I said earlier, the utilization of such conversions finally for the purpose of jihad and attaining kind of Jannat, as they say in the Sharia. Vimal Vaklu, opening remarks. Love Jihad, is it a diabetes spreading slowly, or is it it is kind of an endemic phenomena as far as a country like India is concerned?
Well, thank you, Amit ji. First of all, I would like to mention that as a Kashmiri, I have seen two faces of Islam. The one which was prevalent earlier in my young days, my childhood, it was quite a benign form as such. But there were some elements supported also by people in power who were playing such games. But essentially, the majority of the people there were totally benign. There was no issue as such. But maybe things later on took a turn when there were a lot of people got from outside, and a mass movement started. So, but first of all, I would like to congratulate the makers of this Kerala story, because it needs guts to do that and face people like the Kashmir Files did. Of course, our exodus in 92 became known to people in the country in a big way only after the Kashmir Files. So that was a bold decision, and it let me mention that was just tip of the iceberg, because there are many serious things also that happened on a big scale. But that apart, majority of the people in India don't know about another agitation which happened in 1967. It was called Kashmiri Pandit agitation. And I was a young boy that time, about 11 years old. Since independence, particularly, there has been a lot of discrimination against the minorities. When I say minority, I mean, say, the Kashmiri Hindus there. To begin with, whatever land, every employee or every, invest into something which is like a buffer against any future challenges. So the tendency among the Kashmiri Pandits was to invest into land, because land is something, particularly the agricultural land, so that your rice and other things from the land are assured. After that, rest is easier. So the first thing the government in 47 did after independence was take away all our lands. So when that happened, we had no option but to go to the courts. Of course, 75 years have passed. Still, we have not got any judgment on that. And for the past 32, 33 years, we have not been pursuing also. That's also a fact. The second thing that happened after that was discrimination in jobs. Selectively, people were denied jobs. Now, even my father, who was a teacher, who was well qualified, he had 2 MAs and B.Ed also. So all his students who he had taught in school ultimately became his bosses. He was not getting any promotion. And finally, all Kashmiri Pandit teachers, they had to go to Supreme Court under, fundamental rights and fight a case there. And it was only through Supreme Court intervention 3 times my father got a promotion, and finally he retired as, the district education officer. But that's one part. But in 67, something else also happened. And that was, there was a minor girl who was abducted and converted to Islam. And finally, when the parents went and protested, parents were told that she's a major. She can decide on her own. So at that point, the parents said, we know she's our daughter, she's just 16, and how can she decide on her marriage? She has been abducted. So finally, when the elders among Kashmiri Pandits, the leaders, they went to the government and approached the government. Government produced a fake certificate showing that she's already major. That is how the government also was complicit in the whole process. So when this happened for 3rd or 4th time, then there was an agitation from Kashmiri Pandits, and that agitation was not any violent agitation, it was satyagraha. Satyagraha, every day 5 Kashmiri Pandits will go to a central location, out of all the people, and offer themselves to be jailed, the way it happened in the independence movement. So this, movement went for a few days, and suddenly we noticed that all the people who were taken to jail, they were, all the goons in the jail, they were released, and these people were beaten up badly. Now, because of that, the agitation intensified, and even my father said that I'll go and we should show our, support for the movement. And I also accompanied him. And what happened was very strange. It was Sheetalnath, a temple premises where all of us had converged, and the leaders were speaking one after another. And suddenly the police came and fired tear gas shells and the whole place, and directly at people, not in the air. So what happened was many people were injured, and of course there was a hospital nearby on the other side. It was more like an island. So there were a lot of problems. And finally, next day, they beat up people, and some of the people died also. And this agitation had gained some prominence among the superpowers that time to embarrass India, like Voice of America and Chinese, radio. They used to talk every day about this particular agitation. And finally, Government of India also was forced to take a cognizance, and Mrs. Gandhi sent Mr. Y.B. Chauhan for negotiations. Of course, things were wound up, but the result was finally my father also had to ask for a posting outside Kashmir. So things went really bad. So this was something which was, I would say, official stamp on love jihad there. And after that, many people were forced to flee that place because this started becoming a norm. So this is a big challenge.
Vimalji,
But,
Vimalji, we have to stick to the topic today and be
yeah.
very,
I was giving you the background of
you.
what happened. I mean, we said, okay, it's no problem. You take our land, you take our, don't give us jobs. But finally, when it came to this particular aspect of love jihad and all that, that is the time when, yes, it was an abduction. And the other part, which they have shown in Kerala films also, that also, not on a big scale, the way it happened in Kerala also happened there. So that is how, this is a big challenge. And not only in Kerala, this is happening in every part of the country, but it's not the common man who's involved in it. It is a mafia which is supported financially by people from outside the country also, and some people within the country. Thank you.
The topic is love jihad.
Yes.
Diabetes, or should we call it a cancer? Here we have Arun Kumar Sinha from the state of Uttar Pradesh, which has the highest number of Muslims in the country. And the entire issue is love jihad, whether this conversion of girls from various communities, especially the Hindus, being the majority in the country overall, 80% of which are Hindus, by the Muslim youth, in the pretext of love, in the pretext of very lovely future life, family life, converting them to the Islamic religion, and then using their, innocence for the purpose of exporting them to the Middle East to facilitate the jihad by terror organizations, blacklisted organizations like ISIS. Does this phenomena not incite fear amongst the entire administration in the country? Because the movie is one part of it. It's just a movie. And there are many parts of this entire topic that we have chosen, which the movie has tried to bring out in parts. Conversion, but the essential ethos of the film revolves around conversion for the purpose of terror. This is exactly what Honorable Prime Minister is raising his doubts about as far as the minority or the Muslim minority community of this country is concerned. That first of all, conversion. Why does it need to happen? And whether this conversion is for the purpose of facilitation of societal norms, as it's shown in the movie to some extent, or is it for the purpose of an ulterior motive, a kind of a benign ulterior motive, which becomes cancerous as they proceed in the relationship, and then they are exported as products of terror as suicide bombers. And that is what the future lies for these young girls who fall prey to these kind of allurations that come their way at the age that they are in. So there are various aspects Arunji, your view from the state of Uttar Pradesh. Also, recently there was a case in the University of Shualt or something, agricultural university, wherein the vice chancellor and the director have been charged with 35 crores of cash embezzlement, that foreign funds that they have received from various countries for the purpose of conversion, and almost 100 odd students have been converted to the religion of Islam, to the religion of Christianity in this case, not Islam. Let me make it also very clear. This particular case refers to conversion to Islam, Christianity. So now, love jihad, again, it has another aspect. It is not only conversion by the Muslims to Hindu Muslims, it is also hinting towards conversion by the minorities overall to their own religion of the majority community women, the Hindu women. Arunji, your views.
Let me first clarify that I don't have much expertise or knowledge about love jihad. But what I have observing in the Uttar Pradesh through my surveys and other things, that I want to share, that in Uttar Pradesh, there are many problems. And love jihad is a very new phenomenon, I think, which has come up. And as rightly discussed by Mr. Waglu and you also, that perhaps there may be people who are working with this motive and like that. But this is not a very general thing, I can say, in Uttar Pradesh. And Uttar Pradesh is with many other problems, like what we see earlier, it used to be feudal problems. Among people who are living, it was game between powerful and powerless. And of course, a lot of social inclusion, social justice has come. And there are districts in Uttar Pradesh which had this particular phenomenon. And this went till, I think, we can say till 1980s. And gradually now it has come down. Then another issue which I think is more prominent for Uttar Pradesh is like child trafficking in the red light areas and other things, which is there in almost all districts. And nobody talks about them, what is happening there, how these things are happening there, because perhaps this is an area where people like to avoid like that. So my feeling is that for Uttar Pradesh, this problem is not that much, but yeah, precautions should be taken. And then if such people who are trying to break the social harmony or use it for their thing, what should be done? And there are agencies, and government is all powerful. So that they are taken to task, and this does not. That is my. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Arunji. Pallab Bhattacharya ji, former ADG Assam. In a state which is. Yes, sir. Yes, Pallab.
I will start with one thing. This love jihad or Romeo jihad, actually, it was called by the Kerala High Court. This was first coined, I think, by Kerala High Court. It's very interesting. And the film which is being shot at Kerala on this issue, that is also creating a lot of problem. But I want to say, as Wagluchar has told us regarding Kashmir, similarly in Assam also in 1901, the percentage of Muslims was around 12.4%. And now it has become almost 35%. That means out of 10 persons, 4 persons are Muslims. I am not blaming anybody for this, but this is a historical truth. And the problem is actually, if you see countries like Algeria, Bhutan, etc., they have got their own religion. Like Algeria, they have got Muslim population majority, so they have got anti-conversion law there. Similarly, in Bhutan also it is there. But so far as India is concerned, it is a pluralistic society, and that is why there is a lot of problem so far as anti-conversion is concerned. what you have told about ISIS and other phenomena regarding this film, I think some of the points are very much highlighted, which are not disproportionately highlighted. And due to the intervention of various courts, actually they have come down, because initially the producer of the film has shown some 3,000 girls have gone away. But a report from on ISIS actually showed that there are only 68 persons actually involved in this, 66 persons involved in these activities. But anyway, when you highlight something in that manner,
Vallabhji, just a small intervention. Yes. We will have to dissect this topic today in two parts for all the panelists, I would request. One is conversion, and second is, what is the purpose of conversion? Conversion is one aspect, why it happens, why India is not able to, what are the policies globally and nationally, what has been happening historically, and what are the ramifications of it. And second is, what is exactly the purpose? Why is it needed for such kind of a phenomena to be, socially accepted in this country? And today, when questions are being raised, these two issues should be dealt with separately, because if you are using for the purpose of ulterior and very, very, dangerous motives, insidious motives like terrorism, then obviously there is absolutely no question of any talks. And India should have a very strong policy against, no tolerism policy against any kind of conversion. But then how do you differentiate? Probably based on data. And then do we have the data? Somebody says 3,000 a year. Somebody says 65 people only. I mean, my basic sense is, does ISIS really need to have people being, so much of investment being done for the purpose of bringing people to Middle East from India only? I mean, when the entire world is at their disposal, I mean, do they really? And the entire Middle East, and there are so many people all around the world. Islam is the second highest religion in the world today. So do ISIS kind of organizations really need to get manpower support from India by conversions? I mean, these are issues which we'll have to discuss, today.
Now, yes, that is there. What you have said, I am not denying that. But what I want to say, actually, the central government, they do not have power to, promulgate anti-conversion law. It is only the states which are doing it. And there are 10 states which have already done this anti-conversion law. Now, my question is regarding what you are saying. Actually, that is very much correct. Particularly in Assam, if you see, almost 35% are Muslims. And this Muslim population, particularly those who have come from Bangladesh side, actually those people, not the local local Muslim Assamese, I am not talking about them. The other people are, some of them are very much radicalized because of external influence. That is also very much there. And since there is a fear of some extremist attack or something like that, so there is a situation of fear is existing, not only in Assam, but in Muslim-dominated areas. And I personally feel that, well-to-do persons and good persons from both the communities, actually, they should come together and realize these things and should have very rigorous discourse, social discourse on these issues. Because I have found whatever you have said, that people, Hindu girls are being taken and then converted. That is very much true. That is happening in Assam also. There are a few cases, but we should abruptly highlight these cases in such a way that it appears as if all the Muslim people residing in India, they are anti-national. It is not like that. So this is what I want to point out. Actually, I just want to tell you one thing. When the Ahoms came to Assam, at that time, there are 7 principalities who are working here in different ways. So there is an Assamese sentence, they call it Hat Hagor Eri Ek Haz Kora. That means 7 kingdoms have been brought together and made a single whole. So we are facing problem here in India because we are a pluralistic society, and that is why we should try to evolve with time, and somehow we will have to all of our people actually of different communities, actually they should have a discourse of this thing from time to time, so that these sort of incidents do not take place. What Aklu sir has said, that is happening in Jammu and Kashmir, and that is, there is no denying that. Similar is the case in Assam also. Here also people are very much afraid of, because of certain things, because there are certain doctors who have told me that some Hindu girl, actually, if he is taking treatment under him, she requests the doctor to allow her to go early, as otherwise she will have to go through a village inhabited by Muslim persons, and she may be attacked. So this fear is there. So now my thing is actually how effectively we can use the anti-conversion law. Because even before independence also, this is also another point which I want to highlight. Before independence, even in the 20th century early, there are some princely states, they have introduced these anti-conversion law. That was basically against Christianity, but still at that time also these laws were there. So presently we should see how we should evolve with time. And subsequently, I will add some other points in this regard. Thank you.
There have been huge amount of conversions in this country to Christianity as well. We cannot deny the fact. Even people get converted to Christianity over time. Their population has also, yes, India has a meager population of approximately 3 crores of Christians, 4 crores of Christians, 3.5 crores of Christians, if not more. I mean, over the last 60, 70, 75, 80 years of independence. But at the same time, case in point of Kashmir would make it very amply clear that we don't have to go too much back in history. Ralif, Galif, Shalif. Makluji would be relating to this wonderful, lovely semi-poetry that we were exposed to, or we were told about in the movie Kashmir Files, which means convert, die, or leave. Either you convert, or you die, or you leave. So this has been the essence and ethos of the Muslim philosophy. Again, we need not go back in history. It's been the case even in the last 75, 80 years of this country's independent nation. Now, based on that, is this conversion issue, love jihad, or the trapping Hindu women and Christian women as well, but in the pretext of then finally converting them? I mean, is it only for the purpose of increasing the footprints of Islam, or it has got more motives attached to it? Yes, the basic essence is economics. I'm sure girls from well-to-do families and from educated hi-fi families or from upper middle class families, rich families, I'm sure would not fall into such traps. Very rarely they would, because they've got a much greener and a bigger world to enjoy life in. I mean, it is primarily the not so well-to-do families, the poor, the below poverty line people, the kind of a lower middle income group people whose daughters get trapped into such issues, primarily because the other side has the money power backing it, and Vimal Vakluji had earlier pointed out. They are heavily supported financially, so that the economic drive or the economic divide makes this entire conversion process much more smoother. Now, is this one important aspect, and do we need stringent conversion processes and laws in the country state-wise? And then, apart from this economic divide or the economic disparity, what else could be the major reasons which can or which are responsible for facilitating such a menace to gather its tentacles and spread its footprints across the country, which at this point is diabetic and semi-diabetic in nature, but surely cancerous in few parts of the country. Over to you, Vimal Vakluji.
Well, there is one thing which I don't agree that it has to do with the economic status. I know about a lot of cases where the girls were from well-to-do families. Yes, what happens is they get deceived. The boys change their names while they approach them. It is deception also, which is at play. And from well-to-do families, and later on, they get blackmailed. They don't know how to leave. And that is also one way of doing it. But again, I'll say it is not really, I mean, as I mentioned, there was a different kind of Kashmir in my young days, in my childhood, because, people, I don't think in general believed in these things. You have your way, I'll pray my way, you pray your way. So there was quite a lot of harmony initially. But it is a later phenomena, and even for the purpose, they had to get some people from Devband to sort of lecture people in the mosques. That is how 1990 happened. Otherwise, generally people were quite peaceful. In fact, let me tell you something, that all the people, all the Muslims who were associated with us, my barber, my vegetable vendor, the milk vendor, everybody was killed by their own children, by their own sons in 1990, because they refused to toe the line of this hard line of, sort of killing people and treating us like outsiders. So this was a new phenomenon. And even this love jihad, I don't think it was really that serious a problem.
Baklji, do you guys as Hindus believe that your 33 crore gods or whatever the number is, or our 33 gods, being a Hindu myself, do we think that this is the only, notwithstanding the fact that these are all basically beliefs and etc. and mythology and all that stuff, but do we ever say that it is the only God in this world who created this world, alhamdulillah and all that? I mean, the fundamentalist approach that is not there with the Hindus. I've not really seen the Hindus being fundamentalist as a society. But at the same time, people who are politically motivated might be using that later on. But then generally, we never grew up as Hindus because our essence is religion is for the purpose of celebration. Our essence is not religion, is for the purpose of attaining Jannat or life after death, a better life after death. That is not the essence. Now, if the essence is that, and Allah is the only source of that, and fundamentalism is the basic ethos of your existence as a Muslim or as a true Musliman, then in that case, I mean, do you really think that these two ends of the society can really exist in harmony, especially when ulterior motives, international operations are at a full the entire full naked dance of the international terrorism organizations, and all these agencies are at display in a country like India, where this love jihad issue has become quite cancerous in states like Kerala. You might be talking a lot of very, very good things in the early 60s and 70s in a state like Kashmir, which has its own history of, and which is probably different from the rest of the country in terms of this particular aspect. Because Kashmir is Kashmir, Kerala is Kerala, though Kerala was the first place where a church was established in this country. But we've not seen the Christianity, even the Christian women or the Christian girls, to a lot of extent, they're also being allured by the Muslim boys. The reasons we are exploring, one reason is economic divide. Yes, you are saying deception is a major issue. Deception is a way, but that's just a way. But that cannot be an entire, it cannot be a norm which is there for such conversions. The norm is generally economic divide, because ultimately human beings are economically swayed, and money plays a very important role. Apart from money, what else could be the reasons wherein, yes, we are not fundamentalists, these guys are fundamentalists, and their main objective is to convert, because Ralif, Galib and Shalib also meant the same thing. So apart from the money and other. Is there any other issue, Pallabji, that you think might be a reason for these conversions to be happening so easily and so rapidly, if we assume they are happening? Pallabji, your mic was off. Pallabji, your mic is off.
Actually, I can tell about Assam because here I have stayed here for quite some time. Here, actually, I have found that external forces, they try to radicalize the Muslims also. That is also there. And the use of zakat money, which is the money given for donation, actually, that there is some misappropriation. Actually, that is what is hard here. So these are certain things actually where we should keep our conscience open and we should monitor all these things. But the problem with, what you have said that love jihad is a diabetes, actually. I personally feel it is a diabetes because it will gradually eat away. But I am a firm believer that even diabetes can also be reversed. That is, I'm a firm believer of that because I have found that there are certain good things about diabetes also which can be reversed. So personally, I feel that there are certain ways by following which we can reverse this trend. Actually, that is what we should all try about. For instance, I will say that there are two sections actually in Indian Penal Code, actually section 295 and 295A. Actually, basically these deal with these sort of things. Actually, you can take action under that also. Then anti-conversion laws are there in 10 states, actually, that I have already told. But the thing is, actually, the way forward will be to review the existing laws. Actually, why I am saying, because we then limiting the scope of the laws. Actually, sometimes what happens, the scope of anti-conversion laws should be limited to prohibit only forced or fraudulent conversion. Actually, even during the Constituent Assembly debate, actually this provision was said that there should be an anti-conversion law. But they said that anti-conversion law should not be there. But if there is fraudulent or forceful conversion, then law should take its own course. So this is limiting the scope of the laws. Now, increasing the transparency and accountability in implementation of these laws, actually. Then prioritizing dialogue and education. This is very important because if we cannot educate these people, and finally the monitoring and reporting of these incidents. Now, so we should be able to reverse this diabetic experience by taking some forward-looking steps. Because otherwise, in a country where almost 20 crore population out of 140 crore, actually they are Muslims. In Assam, out of every 10 persons, 4 persons are Muslims. So basically, this is a very sizable majority. So I personally feel that we should look forward through these measures as to how we can build up bridges, actually. But this is very difficult.
So in a state
the left
like
and liberals, my last point, the left and liberals, actually, they try to deny the issue altogether, which is not true. Actually, these things are already there, and we should accept it. And I personally feel that learned persons from those communities, actually from Muslim community also and Hindu community also, they should come out against these sort of conversions. Then only I personally feel that we can go ahead in a peaceful manner.
Sir,
thank you.
Pallabji, since you come from Assam, wherein a sizable population is from the minority and the Muslim community, that means very close to 50% in terms of Hindu Muslims nowadays. And Bengal will be towing its will be soon towing the line, because if a proper caste survey is done or the religious survey is done or the NRC is implemented, I am not really very sure how many states will be out of the Islamic State ambit. But any which ways, let me ask you: do Hindus also do the same? Are they also accused or is it also very prima facie, evident that the Hindus are also involved in such kind of activities in your state of Assam? Converting
No,
Muslim
that is
girls?
not there. No, that is not there.
Why?
That is very
Aren't
few.
Muslim girls beautiful?
That is very few and far between.
Don't they evoke a sense of love inside those boys? Doesn't it happen?
No, that is very few and far between. But there are certain cases which I personally know. Some Muslim persons have converted to Hinduism. That I have known. Here in Assam also, this is happening. But these are very few and far between.
No, that's a different issue. That's a different issue.
Yeah.
Okay, Vimalji has a point. Vimalji?
You see, the basic problem is, I also know about some Muslim girls who have been in love with Hindu boys, but they are aware of the fact that in case they actually decide to move further on the relationship, the man will be killed, which doesn't happen here and should not happen. I'm not saying that simply because Hindus are not aggressive. That's why this is happening. But at the same time, the government has a responsibility to ensure that such things do not happen, just because somebody doesn't get aggressive, it doesn't mean they have no right to live. So that has to be discouraged.
Okay. Vimalji, I've got your point. I was coming to this point. Arunji, switch on the camera if you can. He's not well, so I've requested him to stay put. Arunji, Uttar Pradesh has a huge issue. Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, they have a sizable Muslim population along with West Bengal. Now, the first top 3 states in terms of recorded Muslim populations are Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and Bengal. Uttar Pradesh, do you see such kind of issues happening from an intercaste perspective? There are a lot of times we keep hearing about things like Khap, Panchayat and all that in Haryana. Uttar Pradesh also we keep hearing about so many issues with respect to intercaste marriages. But does it go to that extreme as we witness in the case of Kerala, states like Kerala, or the case of Muslims converting these Hindu and Christian girls?
I think right now government is encouraging intercaste marriages, and there are a lot of incentive for that from the government also. But the point of love jihad, which is, I think is a new phenomenon, and it needs to be watched. But in the present situation, another thing is that the population, like in UP, it is 20% population of Muslim, but then they are not uniformly distributed. There are pockets where the population, generally they live in groups. So, and also depend on their profession, etc. So, wherever they are in large number. And they in that small area, they are not in minority. So that is the given situation, and this should be watched. And till now, I think not much has been talked about these issues.
Pallabji was speaking about anti-conversion laws. He's been a police officer, an IPS officer of 86 batch. He knows things probably the best amongst the panel that we have today. Is a very small panel, though we expected a much larger audience, a much larger panel today with people relevant from the industry. But, anyways, Pallabji, if the purpose is not questionable, if the purpose is for the purpose of love, or probably why isn't that there is a reverse kind of a conversion? I mean, why isn't that in case there is love happening and the boy, why can't the boy convert to Hinduism?
Yeah, that is true. I know of certain cases where the Hindus usually convert to Muslims and then marry. So these sort of things happens actually with Muslim girl. Actually, that is very true also. That is why I personally feel that. But there are also I also have my classmates actually who married she's a Muslim girl. She married a Hindu person. That is also there in Assam. Actually, you cannot compare UP or other places with Assam. Assam is a totally different ball game
outside
altogether.
Outside my house, you know, there is a tree plantation drive which goes on every year almost. And there are trees which always keep bearing green leaves. Despite those new trees bearing green leaves all over and blossoming like never before in the month of monsoon, ultimately we can obviously always find some yellow leaves in them as well. Now the question is not about some classmate of yours marrying somebody somewhere, someday for some purpose or some nights. That is not the issue. The issue is why this has to happen only this way. And if it has to happen, what is the basic premise of an anti-conversion law, which a state promulgates or has promulgated, and which should be an ideal pathway for the other states to probably emulate, so that, you know, when they have, promulgated such anti-conversion laws, there must be logic and reason behind it. It cannot be just for the sake of, you know, the pleasing or vote bank politics. So what is the basis of anti-conversion law?
Actually, that is true. These states, actually, some of the anti-conversion laws were framed even before this government. That is also there. We have got the Chhattisgarh law, which was made in 2006. Similarly, Gujarat, it is there. Haryana, it is there. Himachal Pradesh, there. Jharkhand there, Karnataka there, Madhya Pradesh there, Odisha there, Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. Actually, these are the 10 states where this is there. So basically, the legislature, since we are living in a parliamentary democracy, whichever party comes to power, we will have to implement their ideas actually, but those ideas should be implemented in such a manner that it does not go against the constitution. So I personally feel, in this regard, our various institutions like police, even district magistrate, etc., these institutions, they have a very big role to play. And this, the government at the center or at the state, they want to implement certain things, which as per their party affiliation, actually, that is there. But as an IAS officer or as an IPS officer, we will have to see that we will implement those things, but that will be within the constitution. So that is why these institutions, if they work properly, I personally feel that even anti-conversion laws can also be passed by various states, depending upon the situation.
My point is, we need not go that far. I mean, if two adults mutually consensually decide to get hitched and then for one party agrees to convert to another religion, which generally is the case of a Hindu girl being converted into a Muslim religion, for whatever way, in whatever, she's been brainwashed or she's been, hypnotized or indoctrinated, whatever it is. Ultimately, if they decide as adults, who are we to question as a more politically and democratically mature country? We should not be a banana republic like our neighbors. At the same time, this will be an accepted social practice which is going to be good for the society, or which could be a regular norm for the society, only if the ill or the ill designs or the after effects of such kind of a marriage or a conjugal relationship doesn't lead to destruction of life, or the destroy or doesn't destroy the life of the other party, and the law and order is in place to such an extent that today even the FIRs by the families which they want to file for the problems that they face post such kind of conversions, it is something which even the police and the law and order should take very seriously, because that is a part of their constitutional duty. The reason why politically they are influenced in such a way that they don't take actions, appropriate actions, henceforth it's an entire chain reaction. It is not that these things are happening in isolation or in vacuum. The entire law and order machinery is in it's in collusion with such powerful economic entities who are playing a game of conversion. And then finally, the last issue that today in paucity of time we'll discuss is, if we find that terrorism is something, just like money embezzlement or cash issues or financial frauds or PMLA and all these things are there we have in this country. Any amount of money which is embezzled for the purpose of money laundering is done for the purpose of terrorism. Similarly, societal laundering, activities for the purpose of terrorism should be an issue which I think the government should take absolutely with no tolerance. And if it is something which is a regular phenomena, what steps and do you think it is? And if it is, what steps the government can take as a former police officer, what would be your reply to this? Pallabji. Haji Pallabji. Pallab's connection was weak. Vimal ji, ये टेररिज्म का अगर नेक्सस अगर एक्सपोज होता है तो उस केस में सरकार को क्या स्टेप्स लेने चाहिए?
सरकार को यही स्टेप लेने चाहिए कि जो फ्रॉड के द्वारा ऐसे कन्वर्शंस होते हैं, या जैसे आपने कहा सोशल, instead of money laundering, it's social laundering. Yeah, that should be prevented at all costs. Because as you rightly pointed out, if there are two consenting adults from different faiths, there is already provision in the Constitution under the Special Marriages Act. They can get married. There's no problem about that. But if there is a fraud involved in this and people are being sort of either forced or sort of they are using,
legal detriments are not created, or legal case studies of such kind of deterrence.
I think it is lack of political will also, which happens here, because those states which have passed anti-conversion laws, they have precisely this in mind. And we have seen in a state like Uttar Pradesh, the government is very proactive. All people are scared that if they go against law, they are likely to face challenges. So I think it's more the political will which is important. Thank you.
Thank you for being back. The ultimate synopsis that I draw from this entire thing is, I mean, conversions, if they happen, I mean, we cannot under any mature democracy or mature society stop it. But ultimately, if the purpose is nullified, in that case, the law and order machinery has to work absolutely efficiently without any kind of iota of tolerance or laxity or complicity. Otherwise, this menace, ultimately it's a political will, as Vimal Baklu has just now said, it's a political will. If you set up deterrence with the use of law and order machinery, the danda of the for people in power, nothing like this will go on. I mean, nothing will happen. Anything like this will not happen. Your take, Pallabji, then we close soon.
Yes, exactly. There is a power failure, actually. That is why I could not do that. I personally feel that this love jihad is really a diabetes, and we should take all proactive thing about money laundering. That is also happening actually in certain cases. So this FATF, they call it, FATF should be very much activated in these areas where this sort of money is state. So that should also be properly checked. So basically, I personally feel that these are the issues which we should take. And at the same time, I always feel that like since diabetes can be reversed, so also I think that this love jihad issue can also be reversed and we can deal it properly. Thank you.
Arunji, in the state of Uttar Pradesh, have you heard, because there is a lot of talk about the iron hand of Yogi Adityanath. From that perspective, do you see some action happening in the state of Uttar Pradesh, if at all, not necessarily from the Muslim-Hindu conversion issue, but also from the any kind of issues that come up from intercaste kind of alliances? Because in Haryana, the Khap Panchayats used to be a very they were blamed for such kind of hardline stance that they used to take by chopping into pieces the bodies of the young boys and girls wherever such kind of intercaste alliances were seen. Do you think the same kind of issues happening in Uttar Pradesh, and if at all, what is the kind of action that the government has been taking because law and order definitely is a shining star as far as the Yogi Adityanath report card is concerned.
Amit ji, I think you rightly said that the present government has taken law and order as a very top priority issue, because they understood that for development, for growth of Uttar Pradesh, this is very important. And recently we had this Global Investment Summit also, the second summit. The first one was in 2018. So, many actions, they speak about the intention of the government that they want business in this area, and law will take its course, of course, through the provision of the law itself. So, and I think another thing is about the KHAP, Panchayat, etc. That is also prevalent in our western Uttar Pradesh. But with passage of time, I think even they are also becoming aware of the changes, and they are also adopting things. And in recent past, no such barbarous or those sort of thing has come to light, and that is very good sight. Because
that's a wonderful way. I mean, that's I think a note on which we would like to end today's show. That in case the law and order machinery is in place and the political will is there, I mean, this love jihad or whatever jihad, I mean, there cannot be any kind of jihad which will really, fructify in any mature and a civilized society. There is no room for such kind of deception in this society. And if there is a link established with terror, then if we can, deal with the iron hand with respect to all other issues that could be linked to terror, then if this is also an issue wherein internally, or if the girls are being exported for such terror activities, why only girls? There are boys who are converting, radicalized. I mean, since this topic doesn't cover the boys, essentially, basically, if they are also getting radicalized and their name can be seen, the Kerala boys' name can be seen in terror activities happening all over the world, in that case, we need to be very sure that this entire process of radicalization, conversion, if it has got anything to do with anything unsocial or terror or kind of destroying the life of any individual, because right to life, right to decent life is no lesser a responsibility of the state, then, just, keeping its, mouth mum over such very key, important issues only for the sake of petty politics and vote bank politics, which some state politicians are being accused of. Kerala being an example of that particular state, wherein such issues are being raked up very, very frequently nowadays. And with 2024 coming up, this should not be an issue which should be played, should be used as a card, an election card by any political party. It's a national issue. It's a national cause. The state is responsible for the well-being of all its citizens, and we should ensure that with proper law and order, proper rules, regulations, and acts being in place, judiciary being in place, this kind of menace is absolutely taken control of, or if not removed from the society. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll look forward to meeting you again in the next show. Thank you.